Welcome everybody, my name is Amy and I'm back with Pablo to bring you guys the action for the juniors of the trading card game of our European International Championships.
I know, I'm very excited. We don't get to see the juniors and seniors too often, right, on the big stage. I know they're excited. I'm also very excited, Amy.
I am absolutely ecstatic. I'm reeling. I can't wait. A fantastic matchup awaits us, and I honestly could not be prouder. So I'm absolutely riveting for this action. It's going to be a good one. I think a match for the ages. About allegedly neither competitor has lost to the opposing deck previously, so it's going to be a real clash of the titans.
Yeah, it's going to be a decider match for both players, right? Do they continue that undefeated streak in the matchup, or do they finally catch one loss? And would be the worst time to catch it, right, in the finals. But I mean, both players have already made it so far, so deep in the tournament. What a time for them.
Right, and there has to be a winner. There's finally going to be a decision. They're going to have to bring out all of the stops. But clearly these two are an expert at their craft. They've been training, and well, we're going to have a match, and it's going to be fantastic. So make sure your eyes are staying eagerly peeled for our competitors who will be along very soon. How do you feel about this matchup, Pablo?
So, I mean, I feel like on paper, Lugia does have an advantage a little bit. It has that potential to one-KO those Dragapults depending on the build, right? But over on Dragapult's side, can be very aggressive against those very key Archeops. So I think the early game is really going to dictate how the rest of the game plays out, because Lugia gets a strong setup, it can feel unstoppable. But if Dragapult gets that early Dragapult, then those damage counters really add up really quickly.
Absolutely. So let's have a little look at the format before we jump into things.
This is the 2025 European International Championships, broadcasting live from the XL Centre here in London, UK. Pokemon TCG trainers have travelled from around the world to compete over a $500,000 prize pool, precious booster packs, and prestigious championship points. Points that will get them one step closer towards qualifying for Worlds 2025 in Anaheim, California. This tournament is a 3-day event that kicked off with Swiss rounds, where every match is a best-of-3 battle. Trainers who earned total match points to exceed the threshold for their division advanced to Day 2. On Day 2, trainers continued to face off in more Swiss rounds to determine who advanced to Top Cut. After all Swiss rounds were completed, the top 8 competitors, plus all competitors with the same number of match points as 8th place, advanced into an asymmetrical Top Cut single elimination bracket until the final 2 players remained. Today, on Championship Sunday, our finalists from each division will face off and compete for the EUIC trophy and title of International Champion. Congratulations to all competitors who gained points towards Worlds 2025 this weekend. Our remaining trainers are ready to fight for the crown, so let's get our battles started.
And this is our Championship Sunday for the trading card game and the decks that will be featuring ever so soon in our juniors finals. Of course, we've mentioned Lugia V-Star Archeops versus Dragapult EX.
What a matchup. I think heading into this tournament, both decks are considered at the very top, right? I don't think there's one super dominant deck like we used to have with Regidrago, but Dragapult, as you can see, there's a lot of Dragapult at the very top.
Oh,
so perhaps it's trying to take Regidrago's crown.
Well, I mean, you know, it's a consistent deck. It's done very well during this tournament. What, 4 of our decks that we're going to see today are Dragapult, because as we go into the seniors, we're going to be a Dragapult mirror match. So we're going to be shooting the Dreepy all over the show and seeing who comes out on top. But I tell you what, a Dragapult EX is going to win the seniors.
Yeah, we're going to have at least one Dragapult champion, could have potentially 3, right? But one thing's for certain, there's going to be Dreepies flying all over London today. Friday.
Absolutely. And as we come to the pinnacle, we will go on to our Masters finals, of course. But what are they playing for, Pablo?
We are playing for $25,000 in the Masters division. Of course, second place walks away with $15,000. Or in the case of juniors and seniors, we're playing for $7,000 or $5,000. That's a lot of money if you're 10 years old.
10 years old. Can you imagine it? Wow. The amount of booster packs I would buy with that money would be crazy. But no, there's just as much to play for whether you're a junior, a senior, or a master. We've got points and prizes, of course. So looking at our juniors bracket, as they've been playing throughout the tournament, going through the top 8 through to semi-finals, and now we finally made it to the pinnacle of our international championships, the finals.
Yeah, we can see how OIliver made it past Adrian and Jose Cruz to make it all the way to the finals, and then Andreas had to go past Sojiro and Jake to get here. All these matches were 2-1, so you can see how tight these games were heading into the final. No easy path.
Not at all. They definitely had a tussle on their hands. Just goes to show how many talented juniors we have, and you better watch out for when they eventually come over to the Masters, because these guys are going to crush it.
Can't tell you, Amy, how many times I've played in a regional, gone up against a first-year master and gotten beaten like really badly. Just
right?
Like these kids are on a whole other level, and I think we have our players setting up and ready to go. Look at them. So cool to see the juniors on the big stage.
And they deserve it. They're fantastic players in their own right. And, you know, like you said, they crush it in all the local tournaments as well. We've got Andreas there on our right and OIliver on our left. We've got OIliver rocking our Lugia V-Star deck, and Andreas, he is rocking Dragapult today.
Yep, now looking at their accolades, OIliver has quite a few just this season. Dortmund Regional Champion, Stuttgart Regional Champion, Lille Top 4, and Gdansk Top 8. Andreas, this is his first accolade, and what a result to have as your first one in your resume. Absolutely
amazing feat, and Andreas could go all the way. They are being coached currently by Drago, apparently, so I'm imagining they're looking upon this feeling very, very proud. And I do have to admit to everyone watching that OIliver is from my local store, and so I'm really excited to see him play after I taught him how to play the game back in 2022. So very excited to see how both of them do. They are both top of their game and look very ready. I would be so nervous if I were them. This is a huge tournament and a very big deal, and they're right at the tippity top. No matter who comes out of this a winner, they're both winners in my eyes.
They both look completely locked in, as if playing on the big stage was just another day in the office, you know? They seem completely unfazed by everything around them, and they're just focused on making sure they're playing their best.
Absolutely, as they should be. This is the Pokemon TCG European Championships 2025, and we're about to get started with the juniors finals. I wonder who will come out on top. If you're watching from home, which deck would you be gunning for?
I'm personally, I don't know. I feel like Dragapult, now that both players are set up and ready almost to go, I think we can talk a little bit more in detail about their lists. OIliver does have that Regigigas, right, which immediately deals with those Dragapults, which are hard to power up, but Andreas's list is actually quite peculiar. There's a copy of Lost City, there's, I believe, 2 Crispin, so usually powering up a Dragapult can be a little tough, especially if you only have Sparkling Crystal, which is something we've seen a lot in the Masters division, but Andreas just really wants to make sure he has access to the 2 energies at the right time.
Absolutely, and you know, keeping that consistent flurry of attacks into Lugia can still be really tough. So both players looking raring and ready to go.
I think we had a couple mulligans to resolve before we get this match started. Now, OIliver does have a very peculiar Cinchino line that you were talking to me about earlier. Tell us a little bit about that, Amy.
So at our locals, we have a bit of a joke about the Cinchino line, saying the optimum Minccino-Cinchino line is a 1-2 line, as we like to play the Thornton. And so it kind of feels like you don't need more than one, and then you don't risk starting a basic. But unfortunately, this can be the payback. If it gets stuck in the prize cards, then it will be unavailable. And that Wellspring Ogre-Bon also being in the prize cards can be really damaging to a match against Dragapult.
Yeah, that pressure to the bench can be super key. But for Andreas as well, he prized that Temple of Sinnoh, so he won't be able to deactivate that Legacy energy or that Mist energy to be able to place the damage counters wherever he wants. So both players having, I want to say, impactful enough prizes to where either of those cards, the Minccino or the Temple of Sinnoh, could end up dictating who ends up winning this game.
It really could. Those prize cards could be everything, but hopefully both players have a stellar plan to put into action once we get started. But honestly, I'm so excited. Will it change the entire turn of the battle to have those key pieces prized?
I mean, I think OIliver definitely will notice the lack of Minccino. Of course, you have Regigigas to deal with one Dragapult, but then dealing with another one when you don't have access to that one-hit KO option can be very problematic. Now, we are getting our match started. We do have the Buddy Puffin for Andreas getting those Dreepies established. And over on OIliver's side, we have that very threatening Iron Hands.
Yeah, definitely one of the pinnacle Pokemon that you want in this match. So Iron Hands beginning our match against now a flurry of Dreepy have made it out thanks to Buddy Puffin. Buddy Puffin lets you search your deck and grab 2 Pokemon basics and put them on the bench. So we've got 2 Dreepy, which is fantastic start from Andreas. But I'm not seeing much else in the hand right now. We've got multiple Iono, but can't play a supporter on the first turn. So it's just passing over to OIliver now.
Yeah, pretty decent setup. You can't ask for much more. I like how Andreas just gets 3 Dreepies down just in case. Probably not going to follow this up with a turn 2 Dragapult EX. You can maybe expect active Dreepy to go down. So want to be very careful and make sure you have enough Dreepies as backup. Now, for OIliver though, that Jack being played immediately could be pretty good. If there's an Ultra Ball to go with it, you get your 2 Arceus into a discard pile right away. Or it could signify that maybe his hand is not too great. Now, I love this. Getting used to note-taking since you're this young, Amy. I started note-taking when I was 30 years old. So
oh, wow. OIliver's got a bit of a head start.
Yeah,
on you.
for sure. And it's definitely something important, right? Like, it can help you make sure that you're not making a mistake when you were making a play based around a card that was priced, and all of a sudden you're stuck there being like, well, that's not going to work now. What do I do?
Absolutely. So we're going in with the Shack. First of all, of course, the key part of Lugia gameplay is that on your first turn, we need a Lugia V in play, at least one, really fantastic. And we would like to get as many Archeops, optimally 2, into the discard pile ready for the next turn. So Lugia V doesn't do much on its own, but we absolutely need it in play for evolution next turn. And we want those Archeops in the discard pile. So hopefully OIliver, like you say, will find a way of hunting down those key pieces early on. But like you said, love this, taking his time on the first deck search to find out what's in the prize cards. Unfortunately, they're not great.
Gonna have to see what we commit to. I wish I could see OIliver's 2 cards in hand. Maybe he already has game in hand and he's just waiting patiently, but Counter Catcher is right there.
Yeah, OIliver's 2 cards in hand are not what he wants. I can tell you that. I did take a sneak peek. One is an energy, and I think the other was a supporter, but it wasn't quite what we wanted. Okay, yeah, we've gone ahead and bought. Yeah, we've counter captured.
We're gonna get some help from that gift energy though. Where do we place the damage counters? Perhaps on the Arceus, perhaps piling them up on the minion. can't place them on the Iron Hands thanks to that missed energy.
Okay, the other damage counters are going on that Lugia V-Star as we just figure out where those are going to sit. Some contemplating going on while the damage counters are still being set. Okay, some on the Luminion as well, just soften that up a little bit more as well. And Oliver's going to draw those other cards, and we'll see if any of them help us along the way to really close this match out.
Yeah, and it's amazing that we get to draw those cards before we even need to commit to a promotion. I think I saw an Ultra Ball, Amy.
I'm pretty sure I saw an Ultra Ball, and then we can get the Luminion, and we can boss for the game. Iron Hands taking all of the prize cards in this match. My word.
Thank you very much 3 times. Seems like a pretty good deal, right?
You know what? I think it does. And it's exactly what decks like Miraidon try and do as well. Of course, we're just double checking there using our Archeops. Ultra Ball there for the Luminion. Take the boss's orders. And we're going to take 3 Duskull with the Iron Hands. Ab you very much for game 1. Oliver takes the lead.
Who cares about Dragapult when you can just KO Duskull over and over and over? That amp you very much attack so powerful. We were talking about how the prizes would affect the Minccino and the Ogerpon. Turns out it was all about Iron Hands this time around.
It was all about Iron Hands. Talk about a handy card. One of the most ferocious 2 prize Pokemon in our format against those little single prize Pokemon with fewer than 120 HP. Am I right? Oh, wow. That was certainly a battle. Oliver took a really defensive start and made every move count. That gift energy really giving us all that it was worth. And that just goes to show how some preemptive thinking can go a long way. Putting that gift energy on what Oliver knew was going to be the target. Let's take a look again.
First amp you very much of the game, taking down that Duskull, protecting his own Archeops, taking down that Duskull a second time after it was recovered. And then we did see Andres respawn, take down the Regigigas, which threatened the Dragapult, but that gift energy, Amy, just way too powerful and gifted that Luminion boss for that poor Duskull. Went with his friend to the discard pile.
My word. Duskull after Duskull after Duskull. Iron Hands really must like seeing those see the bench. And Oliver went for the Duskull rather than a cloak. Just goes to show that he clearly knows which one deserves the amp you very much.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, usually you could argue that, okay, I'm going to take down the Dracloak. That likely becomes a Dragapult. I don't want my opponent to get Dragapult. But if they can't get Dragapult and Dusknoir, that could be worse for you. So if you deny the Dusknoir, even if they get the Dragapult, you can deal with that eventually. So really well done there by Oliver, prioritizing what he deemed the threat. And I would love to see Andres try to adapt here and try to always have 2 Duskull down so that he can access the Dusknoir at some point in the game.
Absolutely. I've got a couple of fun facts for you. Andreas was actually short of multiple top 8s this season and finally broke the curse. So if he goes all the way, this could have just been what he needed. And as for Oliver, he actually wanted to bring Hydreigon to this event, but his mum defeated him so many times in testing that he decided not to bring it after all. And I bet he's glad he did. Yeah, put those dragons down and now facing other dragons in the finals. Can you believe it?
I'm sure Andrea's very happy that this is the tournament that he got his break, right? He's in the finals. He's 1 game down, but he's already made it all this way. I'm sure if anyone can turn this around, it's him.
Absolutely. And like we say, undefeated into Lugia in best of 3 thus far. So we know he's got the skills to pull it off. Let's see if this game 2 can be a little bit different and whether that tussle is a little bit fairer.
Right, both players are getting set up here. I have to imagine Andres will choose to go second, even though Lugia wants to go first. Most of the time, just having a turn to play an item and a support to be able to search for those 3Bs with the buff-ins and potentially find technical machine evolution could be key, but Andres has another plan. Unfortunately, starts the Luminion, but will get that body puffin to get going.
Absolutely. And just as Andreas checks the cards, let's take a look at the prize cards. Not looking too hot for Andreas, with both Crispin in the prize cards, Super Rod, and the one of Dusk Noir and a rare candy. That's not looking too hot to me.
That's definitely not ideal. It's going to make it so that taking down both Archeops in a single turn is going to be pretty much impossible. And now every energy counts, Amy. Andreas will have no wiggle room and will really need to make use of that Sparkling Crystal and make sure there's another energy somewhere else so that he can get back-to-back Phantom Dives. Otherwise, he could be in trouble.
This could be spelling trouble all round. Neither player started with a Pokemon they want to put down in this matchup, though.
Yeah.
Obviously, Andreas with that Luminion, which can be knocked out for 3 prize cards by Iron Hands, but also Oliver starting with the Squawkabilly with only 160 HP can really easily be KO'd by a Dragapult. So Andreas going ahead and attaching an energy to that Luminion, knowing that it's going to need to retreat at some point soon. 2 Dreepy on the bench so far is a lovely start, but I don't know if we're going to be able to go much further than this, and it might just be a pass.
I wonder if Andreas took note there that he has no access to Crispin, and he's just really prioritizing having the option to attach 4 Seal Stone to the Luminion instead of having to attach that rescue board to retreat. But we'll have to see. Now, Oliver, we talked about this in the beginning. The starting setup for both players will determine, right? And Oliver had a flawless setup last game. Can he do it back-to-back games, Amy?
Hopefully he can, but there is that Minccino again, really punishing Oliver for what our locals call the optimum Cinccino line. I've got to say, that is really adding insult to injury. But
definitely hasn't. There's been a lack of pollen in this finals match in particular. I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot more of this Purdue later down the line. But now it all comes down to this Recon Directive. Can Andreas find the boss's orders off of the Dracloak to win the game this orders this upcoming turn, because now Andreas doesn't even have a way to disrupt Oliver's hand. I think it all comes down to that Iono last turn, Amy, which put the boss at the bottom.
it really does. Andreas going for an attach for turn on the bench. Dragapult. Oliver staring down at this Dragapult. Lugia V-Star still has enough HP that Dragapult can't one-hit KO it right now. So Lugia would survive and continue to reign on. Oh my gosh, if I'm Andreas, I'm possibly wanting to move that Dragapult.
I think you actually don't even need a boss's orders. If you have a Nest Ball or an Ultra Ball for Regigigas could take down the healthy Dragapult if Andreas retreats into that. Now, we're going to be grabbing the counter catcher, but because Duskull is no longer there, or because 2 prizes
In the hand, but a blow.
Either an Ultra Ball or an Nest Ball. I think there is one, so it could be a boss, could be a Regigigas, and Oliver could be getting closer to becoming the European International Champion.
This is so tense. Andreas just taking every moment to assess the situation, make sure that he's done everything in his power to set himself up for success. We see the Phantom Dive, 200 damage on Lugia, and now Andreas' job is to choose which damage out of the 6 is going to go onto the benched Pokemon and exactly where all of that's going to sit. We're going to put it all on the Squawkabilly. Oliver draws for turn.
Okay, he's not even... There's the boss, there's the Luminion, so he has an Ultra Ball in hand. There it is.
Oh my gosh! Dragapult, and Oliver is your UIC Juniors champion!
What an amazing game for both players. Andres was so close to making an amazing comeback, but OIliver with those perfect setups in back-to-back games, piecing everything out perfectly, not activating counter catcher. If you told me this was a Masters loved seeing this game, and Andres was so close to taking us to a game 3. Never had access to that crucial dossor, and those prizes in game 2 really played against him. But amazingly well done by both players. Let's take a look at what happened in the series. That poor Doskull kept hitting the discard ball over and over and over.
That Doskull really got bullied.
I know we did talk about the Ampia very much, the prizes, the attacks by Lugia, but I want to say in game 2, it was all about Squawkabilly and Luminion, the combination of both Pokemon being able to find the Jack for the double Arceus and immediately discard them with the Squawkabilly. That was amazing. And then the Temple of Sinnoh almost gave Andres the perfect comeback possibility. Unfortunately, though, it just wasn't quite enough.
It really wasn't. Unfortunately, Lugia's attack has that secondary effect of being able to discard a stadium. So it stuck around long enough to deal with the Iron Hands, but not long enough for OIliver not to take an impressive win.
What an amazing game. And now...
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the big stage here at EUIC. I'm Adam Watson, joined by your champion, OIliver Cahill. Give it up, folks. Let's hear it. Lugia V-Star. A deck that nobody was really thinking of. It was too much Miraidon, too much Dragapult, but what was the decision process to settle on this deck?
Basically, after Miraidon won, we thought that lots of juniors don't really play it. And if they do, there'll be people from our locals, which we think we know how to work a matchup.
So you had a lot of training and practice just from your local competitive scene, and you used that to predict the meta. Now that you've got this gigantic win, what's the first thing on your mind? What's the first thing you're going to do?
Just celebrate with my family.
I love to hear that. Another big round of applause for him, folks, so OIliver can celebrate with his locals and his family. Any final thoughts or shout-outs I can get from you before I let you go to celebrate your big win?
I'd like to shout out my friends, my locals, and my family for helping me to get to this point.
Brilliant. Well said. Once more for OIliver Cahill, your EUIC champion. We're going to kick things back to the cast and guests and get our next batch of matches underway.
Thank you so much, Adam, and well done, OIliver. We're all so proud. No matter the result, everyone is a champion in our eyes. I am so thrilled, but no matter what, even if Andreas had have won, I'd have been just utterly flabbergasted at such a fantastic result. Played it very well. We're all really proud.
I know, they both played so well. OIliver didn't miss a beat. Andres fell just a little bit behind. Had to play from behind both games. Almost made the perfect comeback. That recon directive for a boss service would have been so epic to see.
It really would have. It would have been awesome for it to have gone to a game 3.
Yeah.
They were both very talented players, and it would have been really awesome to have seen some more. But we are going to get to see some more Dragapult. Don't worry, Pablo. We're going to have a look at the seniors bracket now as we move on to crown our next champ.
The 2025 Pokemon European International Championships have been absolutely spectacular. And we want to take the moment to thank this incredible crowd for making it such an unforgettable experience. Our trainers in the trading card game deeply appreciate your cheers and support, folks. But now let's bring them out for one final time to celebrate their achievements and award their trophies. Starting with the junior division, let's congratulate our trading card game junior finalist, Cahills. To our trading card game junior champion, OIliver Cahill. Next in the senior division, congratulations to our trading card game senior